Hey everyone, it's Katie. I thought that The Overstory was a great novel. I really enjoyed getting to know all of the characters, see where they ended up in the seeds and section at the end of the novel. You know, Adam and Dougie in jail, Neeley beginning to accept his fate of not living long enough to see all his projects through, Ray dying, and Dorothy not being ready for it. Mimi trying to talk to Doug in her mind like he did with her and kind of reaching a form of enlightenment, and Nick finishing his sculpture with some help. I especially keep thinking about Ray and Dorothy's final moments, as they discuss Adam's arrest. Ray's a lawyer, obviously, and he says it could be tried as self-defense, which, really got me into thinking. The earth is our home. So why should the laws be different than protecting your own house? As Ray was trying to communicate, but he, couldn't get the words out, and had said, if you could save yourself, your wife, your child, or even a stranger by burning something down, the law allows you. If someone breaks into your home and starts destroying it, you may stop them however you need to. And our home has been broken into, our lives are being endangered. The law allows for all necessary force against unlawful and imminent harm. That's really something to think about. So, what is the difference? This is where we live. If we don't have a planet, what do we have? We have nowhere to live. We have nowhere to go. The self-defense argument I just kind of thought was fascinating. And I just keep thinking of the last moments before Ray passed away, and Dorothy tells him, I'll be right there, not fast enough at the speed of her own need, but at the speed of the trees very soon. And that's just a really interesting kind of statement to think about, that the extreme differences in time for trees and humans. Humans do everything so fast, and trees just do everything slow and at their own pace. I just really appreciate their relationship. And I love the camaraderie of Nick's sculpture. The man in the plaid red coat tells Nick he heard there was a crazy white man working, and Nick said it must be me, and they worked together silently to finish this project. And eventually, a few others join. The final work is a massive sculpture of the word still. I feel like this is extremely open to interpretation, but what I got out of still is that while nature is being destroyed, it's still there, and it always will be. Nature will preserve in the end, even if the planet is eventually uninhabitable for humans and other creatures. There'll always be trees and plants that can adapt to whatever their circumstances are. And I thought Rhapsody in Green did a great breakdown of the novel. The line that resonated with me the most was, it is easier politically to claim scientific murkiness than to tell the truth. They value their self-interest over the condition of the world their grandchildren will grow up in, which is true. Money and power come before the preservation of nature, and I find that very disturbing, but it's true. Overall, I got from his interpretation, the exact same thing that I did, which is that we can continue to fight for our environment, but those in power and those being paid will win unless we make some major changes, which I hope we will. And overall, I have to say, I do love a tragic story, which I found this to be. I wasn't satisfied with everyone's endings, but that's what makes it feel so real. Not everybody is always going to get a happy ending. And, Doug's life was tragic, and it stayed pretty tragic. Adam's life improved, and then he ended up in prison for the rest of his life. Mimi's thoughts about Doug broke my heart, with her thinking she wishes she could tell him his heart is as good and as worthy as wood was just incredibly beautiful. And I thought it was a great novel, and I'm very glad we got to read it.